So this time we will say welcome to Art of Wellness with Sima and Naomi, because after brainstorming even more than we have had the last year and being guided by people and mediums and the universe.
We have more guidance
yeah,
and
we,
opinions have been shared.
yeah, and the reason why this name is how it is because we have a business called Naomi Art of Wellness, and it's a physical place in Tulum, and it's also a movement that is starting to rise
Rise.
online. And because of that, we thought it made sense to combine who we are with what we do, so there is integrity, and it's not so much about who we are or what our names are, but what we do in that authenticity of us.
Yeah, and it is the art of wellness. This is an art.
It is art. We are trying to create art out here by becoming human, because that's one of the things that, even though we are humans, have the hardest thing to be. So, what's the art of being human, and how does that look like, and how do we get to that point? So, that's it, the first step.
So, welcome to Art of Wellness with Sema and Naomi.
Yes, welcome. Today, at this current moment, we're a little bit heated. First of all, it's very hot in Tulum. So we got to take some deep breath in this conversation, because it's a conversation that means, I think, a lot to both you and I. I think it has a significant place in our hearts and in our body and in our blood. And I think it's a conversation that is important to have. And I think it's a conversation that more people start to trying to have, but find a lot of misguidance and confusion in.
Mm-hmm.
But my blood is burning and bubbling for talking about this, and especially based on what just happened today.
Yeah. And what continuously we see happening with our clients. It's also like been so alive in our clinical practice,
For sure.
this topic.
Yeah, it's very dominating, and I see a lot of pain and suffering in it.
And experience a lot of pain and suffering in it. And I think we've experienced a lot of pain and suffering in it in our personal lives as well.
I think so too. So
So it's time to talk about it,
it
babies.
is. It's time to talk about it. And just based on today, we just went through a whole kind of session with one of our dearest friend, and she is just the most amazing person in the world. She's so authentic, so herself. She's been through so much. And as a woman that have been through so many layers of destruction and violence and abuse, and yet still is alive today, is magnificent and kind of unbelievable that she's still alive. But the fact that she's still alive, trying to find love and trying to get out there and open her heart and her womb, and just her being, is amazing. What's not so amazing is what she's being met in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not mainly what we're going to talk about today, but we're going to touch it a little bit. Meanwhile, also moving within the space of why women right now, at this current moment, and have for a very long time, many generations, have had to suffer so much.
Yeah, and I think the main thing here is why women right now are so tired, exhausted, depleted, and
Desperate.
desperate
Hmm.
because of the destruction that they have been individually through, but have been through as like a species.
Yeah, as
As
a species, for sure.
the female human has just been through it.
Yeah, yeah. And this conversation, I would say, because probably some will hear this beginning and be like, well, I'm a man and this doesn't concern me. So if your women are gonna talk about women the whole 1 hour today, I'm gonna check out. But this, if you're a man and you're listening to this, I would say it's a very important place to stay and be present, and also listen to it, because if one of our counterparts are suffering, the other one is suffering as much. And when the counterpart that is the creator and the deliverer of souls to this world is suffering, we all suffer.
Yeah. And this is 50% of our population who, yeah, are the portals of souls onto earth.
Mhm.
Exactly that. Are and have been going through it and need to scream and shout at this point, and the understanding of that for men,
Mhm.
and the why and the what's physiologically and energetically going on, and
Mhm.
how that affects men. It is like, I mean, the male human is also suffering at this point,
For
and
sure.
partially it's a response to the female suffering.
Yeah, I think so too.
So this is for you as well, men out there, on behalf of your mothers and sisters and partners and
Friends.
whoever, and also on behalf of you
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah. There is a it kind of put my breath,
Bubbles.
yeah, and it put my breath away, but not in a way. I'm not angry, and I'm not, but I'm just deeply, I'm just deeply in touch with this collective grief of this one being that for so long have been suppressed and abused and boxed in and captured and owned and taken, and it's just such generational thing that, and I have not experienced it in my own life, but I see it on a regular basis, and I just think it's so embedded in all our DNA that we have been taken through that turmoil for so many decades that just starting to talk about it just touches me a lot.
Yeah, I hear that.
And seeing somebody that I care so much about going through it, and again feeling this rejection from her male counterparts, and had to go through this whole confusion of, is there something wrong with me? Do I not deserve to be loved? Do I Am I not good enough to be loved? Like, that's just a very painful thing to continuously see happening within women that I see so much in.
Yeah. And seeing the exhaustion that has led to this desperation and this, like, oh my God, like, if I can't be loved, then I might as well just die
Yeah.
because that's my worth. Like the exhaustion of being in this world and in this society specifically as a woman,
Mhm.
and the and we talk a lot about loneliness here, but like
Mm.
the physical, like true physical loneliness, but not just on, not emotional, but truly physical, like carrying everything and the exhaustion that comes with it. And it's like seeing our friend and client in a space of like, it's not worth it if I
Mm.
don't have support, because I can't continue this way. That has that depletion that has led to this point where a partner is just everything is so heartbreaking to see, because it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's not. It's true. It's very heartbreaking to see somebody just want to take the easy way out, or feel that that's the only way out in order for safety, peace, and just divine love to unfold within her being. So that's why we want to talk about it. And that's also why we help women in the way we help women, and approach women in the way we approach women. Um, because women deserve a chance to succeed in this world, and they also deserve to know that there's nothing wrong with them, and that the whole unfolding of this whatever
current state, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because it started what, 150 years ago, where women was told. I mean, that's where we can start, just to like portray how crazy that is. But it started with women losing their right to work, or couldn't work. Men didn't want them to work, but they also shouldn't really work because they were taking care of the children and the home and cooking and these things. And they couldn't vote, so they were not really a part of this working society that was very much in
On
progress
the
and
rise.
in the, yeah, in the development. So so there was this domestication of women in some way that made women protest because women wanted rights. But the way that that protest right now have developed to is more damaging to the woman than what she started out with 150 years ago. Like, if we just should start there.
Yeah, to the physiology of the woman, for sure. So I think a good place to start is that of like this society that was on the rise, this workforce that was on the rise, this industrialization and consumerism and like business and buying and selling and trading and all of that, government and systemic patriarchy, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
That was put in place, or that is in place,
that kind of removed the root of human nature.
Yeah. And made itself the one and only thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like the thing.
Yeah.
That
put itself in power where.
And if you're a part of that, you are in power. So naturally, 50% of the population is out of power, is disempowered. And I think that the detriment to women in that is not that they didn't get to be a part of that patriarchy, but naturally female energy is the leading energy. They are leaders. Women are leaders. We are powerful. We are wild. We are protectors. We are hunters. We are aggressive and domesticating that and putting something in power that energy cannot be a part of. I think took a lot from the nature of females, of women, and made them lose it and fight for it because it's their nature to fight.
Yeah, which kind of created this revolution of feminism, which kind of came off right now in a fake way, where women are protesting for something that is also destroying them.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, in that, I guess that system was created, that women have fought so hard and for decades, for so many years, have fought to have equality in and be a part of and have rights in, is naturally created for them to fail in, because it's just so, it was created by men for men, for the masculine system, for the male,
for the young energy,
for the young energy, for the fire, for the circuit of energy and natural flow of energy that exists strongly in male biology and physiology. That circular daily rhythm, the rise and fall of the sun, the rise and fall of the hormones in men with the sun, that makes it easier for a man to show up for. And then we find women in whatever year that was fighting for the right to be equal in that, when naturally, biologically, innately, chemically, physically, they are not and cannot be equal in that, because it's a system that is not for them at all.
Yeah. So that's kind of like this snake that is biting its own tail.
So what happens in that snake biting its own tail is, yeah, I think that women have fought for and achieved a lot of success in that,
for sure,
demonstration and fight for women's rights, I think everyone would agree, like
Yeah,
where
women
we
have become so strong.
super powered and like taking over spaces and the CEOs and just in
Because
power.
yeah, because they have become men.
Well, in some ways, yeah, they have, in order to become of power within a system that is built for a man, as a woman, you have to adapt your energy to that system.
Yeah.
And in adapting your energy to that system, you are taking some of your innate, chaotic, biological, wild woman essence
Mm.
away, or at least like ignoring it and suppressing it to the extent that you need to in order to show up for that structure and rhythm of the system that you're fighting to be a part of.
Yeah.
And that is detrimental to women in, like you said, I would agree with you, in at least as much of, if not more than, the domestication of that wild energy.
For sure. But it's all just a snowball effect that have like just crashed it all in some way. And also to add to that, which is the consequences of that, we see women very massively declining in their own health, and we see autoimmune diseases, conditions that is new and that the medical industry doesn't 100% understand and don't know how to cure. And we just see female biology declining in such a rapid way, which kind of gives you a perspective of where we are right now.
Right.
It's
the
sad.
physical manifestation in human form
It
of
is.
that.
It is. And because we are the carrier of nature, because we are the carrier of babies and we are the carrier of souls, what we see around us is also what's going on inside of us. So like if you think nature is declining, that's because women around us is sick, inflamed, stagnant, suppressed, and
infertile.
infertile.
Yeah.
And they're full of emotions that they don't have this space within our current society to release or to be recognized in or even to live out. So I think that's the consequences of what you just mentioned, that right now at this, especially you and I as practitioners, we see women coming in with unknown diseases and symptoms and
that are boxed and labeled as endometriosis and PCOS and Hashimoto's and a lot of different, like a variety of different autoimmune conditions that show up in different ways: eczema, depression, anxiety, like just this like SIBO, like combination of symptoms that
Yeah.
are called this or this or this or this or that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they're called, because the medical system, which was also created and tested on male bodies,
which is wild.
which is just hilarious, which is like a topic of hilarity that
Yeah.
we can talk about
Let's
later.
not even go there because
But
then I'm gonna like really. But yeah,
but that system doesn't really acknowledge the complexity and the root of the symptoms that are arising in women and why they're so disproportionately high in women compared to men.
Yeah.
Like if you look up the statistics of autoimmune conditions in women compared to men, it's like 80% of Hashimoto's, for example, is found in women compared to the 20% in men of all cases.
Yeah.
And obviously things like endometriosis and PCOS is only in women. And just as a side note, I just want to mention
mention it. Bring it all out.
That the decline that we're seeing now, right now, we're seeing the decline in women's health. And we're seeing the aftermath of that too, because the decline in women's sexual health, the decline in the female organ, the health of the female organs, the uterus, the vulva, all of these organs, and the fertility decline in that is the response to that is the decline in male fertility. Now we see men's fertility just, we're where the statistic is, I think you know the number, 2045, or what year?
Even earlier, I think it is around
2040
that the sperm count will be 0%.
Yeah, so that there will not be fertile men, which is wild, but makes perfect sense, because that fertile for what?
Yeah.
Fertile for who? And as we as humans respond to nature and are in connection with nature, and we as women have this portal to like the universe and root to nature, men are feeding off of that. As humans, they need that source, and if that source is stagnant, unhealthy, full of cysts and fibroids and emotions that are not allowed to be
Adhesions and
released,
scar tissues and trauma
pain,
and pain. Yeah.
and chemicals and birth control and
yeah.
like all kinds of other things that we've just like band-aid the problem over. Like, how many women have we seen come in with PCOS that were told, yeah, just be on birth control, that will fix it, or endometriosis, yeah, just be on birth control, or depression, yeah, just go on birth control, acne, birth control, which like
Yeah.
at this point I think it's like loud and proud on Instagram, at least that on our feed.
Yeah, I hope
that
it's more feeds, but I don't know.
I don't know, but that like don't birth control solves nothing. Birth control is really detrimental to your health. Birth control is going to destroy your fertility and destroy your sexual organs and destroy your body as a whole.
And your personality, who you are as a person.
Yeah, and who you're attracted to and how you live.
It's a whole rabbit hole. I don't think we should like touch that too much, but it is a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, the medical system for women is a whole rabbit hole within itself, but it only makes sense that the male bodies and the male fertility declines with that.
Yeah.
Is naturally going to decline with that.
For sure.
Yeah. I think I took a tangent there to say that.
I think it's great, because this is why it's important just to like follow up on what you're saying. This is why it's important for men to also listen to this, and for men to educate themselves in women's health and in women biology, and also in the rhythm of the woman. Because if you as a man take responsibility for the one and only person in this world that transmits souls into this world, you will also thrive and feel more pleasure within this world. But as long as male partners, or just men in general, show up in disrespect and in dishonor, and in also in indifference to women, in a way of not really taking accountability for what is happening to their female sisters out there, it will hurt both. It will hurt the whole world. So that's why I think what you're saying is super important.
Yeah,
there is a massive responsibility that needs to be taken for the man, and that's leading back to our friend here. If you have sex with a woman, if you have unprotected sex with a woman, if you just share energy with a woman, please respect her and understand that you came out of this same organ and woman that you are trying to enter for your own self-gratification. And that's just more devastating to a woman's health, that you don't take that responsibility. I know we have this hookup culture, and like we can have casual sex and blah blah blah, and we will talk more into that at some point. Now I just want to touch this, how important it is to respect this organ, and how this organ, because it's so sensitive, can create so much pain and suffering and scar tissues just by one wrong entering and penetration. And the one person that has to deal with it is the woman. And women at this current moment don't have, I would say, the energy or the power or even the physiology to deal with this anymore.
Or the support.
Not the support at all.
That like literally that it's so rare for even practitioners to have the skills and knowledge to support women in dealing with the level of trauma that this culture and society and sex culture and work culture and medicine culture has birth culture has put onto women. there it's really, really rare that practitioners are informed, because like I said, the healthcare industry and the practitioner industry and where we go to educate ourselves to become practitioners just have not focused on it in our lifetimes and in many, many generations before us
at
all. So the quantity of practitioners that women have access to is that can actually genuinely help them to resolve the damage that is done is so rare, is so low, is so
it is
inaccessible. And so women are left on their own to deal with like the aftermath of all of these things. So yeah, I agree. If you think that a womb is a place for self-gratification, like just don't stop doing that. And we'll talk more about that
in another
episode because it's a really big topic that needs to be talked about.
All of this is such a huge topic.
I think that's also why we get so like riled up about it, because it connects and it's the root of so many issues and so many things in our world that must be changed. And putting women in power, for example, does not build a world for women, as there is a world and a circuit and systems that exist that benefit the physiology and energy cycles of men. There should also be a coexisting world that benefits and respects and builds the physiology of women. And
basically because, just not to interrupt, please go after, but basically because we all beings is running on these two cycles.
Of course, yeah. So there, like, it will benefit everyone for both of these things to coexist. And interestingly, like, as women in business who own our own business, we can speak personally to this. We work and we function from a place of, because we're two women and we can, and we're educated in this, we function from a place of like listening to our bodies and hearing our cycles and hearing our energy systems and working in cohesion to that and in respect to that. And we do it like very consciously and effectively. And the number of people who are surprised by that, or like are just like, they're surprised that that's the way we work, is because a lot.
It can also be very, it is a lot.
People are very surprised, which just like, and we're not doing anything that's surprising. It just speaks to the fact that the world is not, we're doing it for our own health and comfort, and because we're giving a lot of energy in treatments and in with our clients, we have to respect that so that we don't get burned out. But the fact that,
but also so we don't transmit energy when we are, for example, bleeding.
And so so we're working from a place of integrity. So we're showing up in full energy. So we're not sharing things that we don't need to share. So we're not picking up on things that we don't need to have inside of us, so that when we show up in full. And that's just a biological need for women. And the fact that it's so surprising for 100% of our clients almost, just speaks to the fact that it's not happening in the world while 50% of the population actually needs this. It also speaks to the fact of how much women are just pushing through certain things, collecting certain energy, and like not showing up full in certain places. And obviously that leads to exhaustion. When you have to like just constantly show up every single day, no matter what. When you have the energy cycle that doesn't align with that and isn't, it's not that you're less productive or you're less,
or you're lazy
or you're whatever, like irresponsible. It's the opposite of that. It's super responsible to stand in integrity to your body and
Yeah.
to your body's needs. But women are just pushing through, and every single time that they do, every single time that a woman shows up to whatever, to her like networking event or her teaching thing or whatever she's doing, I don't know what, like treating clients, in that depletion, she becomes more depleted. In a space where she needs to release, she holds more. She disconnects more from her essence. She disconnects more from the physical organ of her uterus. And that disconnection creates stagnation. That stagnation takes energy. That stagnation stops the circulation of essence and energy through the rest of the body and builds up every single time. So it's
Yeah.
not just about sex or work or relationships. It's about everything, because it's about every aspect of life where most of the population has one of the population has no idea of knowing how it feels, and then the other half of the population has just been so brainwashed into thinking that they should just always be on to the cycle that exists around them, that they ignore themselves.
Yeah.
Even in complete and absolute depletion, in full burnout, they continue to ignore it.
Yeah. And then they go to the doctor and they get diagnosed with Hashimoto, and then they feel something is wrong with them, and the doctor say, I don't know how to help you, but I can give you thyroid medicine. And then from there on, you're just trapped within your own stagnation that could easily have been cured if somebody who cared for you actually guided you in a direction that honored your worth as a woman.
And asked like, what's going on when you're bleeding? When's the last time you had your period? So many things that are just not even asked.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is.
It's crazy.
I mean, the more we talk about it, the more insane. And I hope really for just the normal person out there, normal in the sense of just like the middle class working woman, that she actually can understand that this is torture. I mean,
and then it spills over right into like life. Now you have Hashimoto's and you're like exhausted and your relationship sucks because you don't want to have sex, and
exactly,
your partner's like annoyed because you were showing up and now all of a sudden you're not showing up, and you're always irritated and you're even more in pain, and now you're in pain for 3 weeks out of the month instead of 2 days.
It's just chronic worthlessness.
And then you hold no value.
No.
And I get chills from that, because then eventually you come to a place where you don't hold value anymore to any aspect of your life.
Not in your partner,
not as a mother,
not as a creator, not as anything. And yeah, that gives me chill too. Because then what are you? If you can't be a mother to your kids because you're too exhausted, if you can't give pleasure to yourself and your partner because you're just so numb, you don't feel for it, if you can't create and be inspired and sense and smell and taste and just feel how delicious that is in your body, we have truly come to a point of human nature that is going to be is extinct, because the wild woman is on the verge to extinction.
Yeah. And the whole human race loses completely, because every one of those wars that were fought and like the whatever that men have done to grasp that wildness for a second, to taste it for a second, to be led by it, because that is what that energy does. It leads. And then
it doesn't get submissive, it doesn't surrender. It's not like that soft, because it's pure water, and water can break through the strongest stone. So don't get this wrong out there with your tantric. I'm just gonna mention this fast before you're gonna go with
tantrics need to hear this.
Do not go out there and say men is our leaders and women should just surrender. That pisses me off. Women are the leaders. And please then go on with your beautiful speak.
Yeah. And when that energy becomes extinct, there is no more essence left in life. There's no more reason. There isn't a reason to fight at the end of the day. To
It becomes hopeless.
There's no reason for any of it because there's nothing to even taste.
There's
There's
no
nothing to
purpose.
grab. There's no reason for any of it.
No.
And we find ourselves somewhat where we are today. I don't think it's extinct. I think there are
I don't think it's
a
extinct at
few
all.
wild women out here
For
who are
sure.
really, really fighting for their right, for what their own wildness and for their essence to.
For sure.
I'm not going to swear, but to be free.
Yeah.
And good for them. Good for you if
Yeah.
that's you. Good for you. But
I also don't think it can go extinct.
that's the end of humanity, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. It's not, and that's the thing. It's not global warming, like, and all of these things. Just if we should give a little context of this,
Yeah.
all of this, let's say global warming, fire, these heated moments in war, this conflict, this is pure fire. This is fire racing to its core without a root. So that's what we're talking about here, the essence of a of males and women, but we both have that water fire within ourselves that is like the concept of life.
Yeah, so can I just talk about that a little bit, just
Yeah.
to like give it some like perspective to energy in general? The fire, the yang, the masculine energy.
Don't call it that, but yeah,
But that's
it
like
is.
that's what
That's how you will relate to it,
yeah,
probably.
that's a lot of what people talk about.
Yeah,
We all
we
have
gotta
that
talk
in
about it.
us. It's the energy that's the most present in your heart. It comes within your biological system. It's electricity. It comes from the heart. It runs through your nervous system and your blood and everywhere.
It's
And then
movement.
it's movement. It's it's fire. It's movement. It rises. It's fast. And then there's the yin, and that's matter. It's associated with the element of water. It flows downward. It drips. It moves slow. It's dark. It's
the fluids
cold.
within.
It's the fluids, and it's also runs through your blood. But really, it's your marrow. Yeah, it's your marrow. It runs inside of your bones. It's your semen. It's your cervical fluid. It's your vaginal fluid. It's your saliva. It's your sweat. It's
just
the
the
tears
waters of
that you
life.
cry. It's the waters of life. And in nature, we know fire rises, water drips down and goes to the lowest point. But within our little universe, our little microcosm of a universe that is our body and what keeps us alive, that spark of consciousness, when that pure yang of soul enters the yin of physical existence on this planet, which is this body, life forms. And when that life forms, something different happens to those two energies. It happens on a microcosmic orbit in the universe and in Earth, and it happens on a macrocosmic in the universe, and it happens on a microcosm inside of your body. And fire is magnetized down to the root of water, to the heaviness and the darkness, and it gently, to that essence, exactly, and it gently bubbles it up, warms it up, heats it up, and sends that water and essence through all of you and out, and allows your creativity to physically manifest and your energy to physically manifest in the world around you. And inside of you, it cools down that heart fire and brings kind of like that steam up to cool down that heart fire, to send more fire down. And that's the yin and the yang in connection. That's life. That's when they separate, you cease to live. And so
you cease to ground, you cease to remember who you are, you cease to lose the connection to yourself and your external world.
And then you die. Then you physically die.
And people are dying from diseases that is caused by this overheated system that is overheated by suppressed emotions, inflammations,
The
just a fire
disconnection.
raging in your body and getting stuck and just creating this dampness, stickiness that is creating a lot of conditions in humans.
Yeah.
So, as without, so within.
And that fire is not just like endless, it also burns out
Yeah.
when it's not fed in the sustainable way with the water, with the yin energy. And the main reason for that inflammation, for that fire, for that anxiety, for the insomnia, for the global warming, for all of these
For
things,
this positivity of like, let's pursue happiness because that's the only thing, like,
for casual sex and fast relationships and quick money and addiction and all of this is it's not from the fire taking over. It's not
No.
because there's too much fire. There can't be too much yang. You
No.
can't be in excess of yang. It's the deficiency of yin. And it's not because there's not enough on it on this planet.
It's everywhere.
It's because we are just simply disconnected from it. When you create that connection, that same connection that sparked your existence inside of your mother's womb,
Mhm.
to be born on this planet with the body and energy system that you have been gifted, when you allow that natural connection to exist and stop disconnecting, the imbalance at its root is healed.
Mm. Yes, that's beautiful.
And it's just the key.
It is the key. And I think we talk a lot about this for our clients because we see it both in the male and the female with the clients we work with. We see and I've been there myself, we see a chronic disconnect to the root. The matter, the yin, the life within itself, and a fire raging that cannot find home. So a lot of people just come in feeling lost and homeless and disconnected to who they are. And that's kind of the human condition right now, right?
Yeah. And
but that's a little side, but that's not a side way, because I would say the woman is, as much as we all are, the woman is kind of the archetype of this energy. So she is the holder of this energy. And when you continuously suppress this energy and reject it and push it away or own it or abuse it or rape it, this energy will cease to exist, or at least it will exist in a more dramatic way.
Well, I think it existing in a more dramatic way is like the natural law of things, because if you like raise yang, yin will
hello water,
as long as we're alive and well, will try its best to come up
for sure
and tsunami the world. But I think that in humans, if we bring it back to human nature, I think that the saddest part is that women are still trying to make it in this yang environment and yang world, and themselves are choosing to disconnect from that energy which they are the masters of and the holders of. And instead of creating and benefiting the world as a whole and humanity as a whole, and creating systems in themselves and their families and their children, creating systems for that energy to thrive, creating systems built on that energy being valued, on the value of that energy, not the value of speed and productivity and performance and optimization, but the value of that yin, slowness, the value of alignment, the value of feeling, and actually building systems that value that and reward that.
Wow, that would be peace.
That would create balance, because that would allow the keepers of that energy, both men and women, because there are men that are really dominant in essence and are like at this point, because the world has been so imbalanced for so long that we're born with such, our genitalia and our organs no longer decide what what the energy balance in our body is.
What
And
we
there's
are.
and there's a lot of women who are born with like this massive yang energy, and there's a lot of men who are born with this massive yin energy. But as humans, create systems that allow the keepers and the leaders and the people who naturally flow in this yin to thrive, create systems for ourselves where if we are that, we can thrive in our own world.
Yeah,
That's and be rewarded for it.
that would be great.
That would make life really nice, really balanced, and would make the world a really balanced place, like
Yeah.
just immediately.
Yeah,
But
it would.
unfortunately, I mean, it's easier said than done.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, you have to start in a micro scale to be able to move that way, I think, because you have to create it for yourself. As we also talked about last episode, it's about taking the freedom back into your own being and becoming healthy, because you can't, we're so far deep in that systematic establishment that, I mean, you can't do so much about it. It doesn't matter if, as we talked about also, it doesn't matter if women sits on the power in a democracy, because it's still the democracy that is something wrong with it. It doesn't, the more women coming into power doesn't change the power that they're running within that system. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's really is about like I think the first step is acknowledging that this different system is in place and that it
And
needs to
seeing
be
it
in place and is inside of us.
and just see, for
Like
sure.
validating it, acknowledging it. You are tired. You are tired.
You should be tired. Imagine like you are giving birth in the most horrendous way in the hospital, being shot into your spine and having to lay in a weird position, and sometimes they cut you up open, and then you have to go to sometimes a lot of times because they get money from it. And then you have to go to work after, and then you have to put this little beautiful being into an institution, and you just don't want to let go of that. And there's just like, you are tired.
Meanwhile, your body is like
traumatized.
Is forming adhesions that run from the surface of your skin all the way down to the depth of your organs.
It's mind-blowing.
Creating webs of scar tissue that's pulling all of your organ systems together. You're not pooping,
changing
you're not
your persona.
Everything, because the energy that's running through your system is meeting walls. And plus you're adding the emotional components that you should never feel, the disattachment from your child, the abuse that we think that we allow, the current society
allowing it
and rules that are in place.
Wow, it really touches me a lot.
To abuse us with.
It's
we
really
just
sad.
allow it.
We just allow that. It's really sad what we have come to at this current moment, and what we're allowing to be told and taken just as law as anything else, instead of just listening to ourselves and our intuition. But I think we're just so far away from our own self that intuition is like a wild berry in the woods that you barely can find. A special wild berry.
And when you do, you have a million other reasons to say, yeah, but also that's not true because they didn't mean it. And they actually are just trying to do the best. And yeah, maybe it was an emergency. And maybe they needed to rape me. And maybe they needed to, I needed to go back to work because like they can't function without me. And I need to feed my child and and you just can bombard that little spark of intuition with the millions of excuses of why the world needs to be exactly the way it is.
And what is societal correct.
And yeah, of course, your children need to go to preschool and kindergarten at that age because they need to be socialized with other children and like just go off. But none of it is real. If you feel
it's an establishment
something, that's the only thing that's real. If you feel that it's wrong,
that's
it's wrong.
Wild woman roaring, saying no, but she don't get so much to say so. But that it is wrong.
Yeah, and she needs to roar.
She needs
and I
to
think
roar.
You're right.
She needs to run. She needs to.
I think you're right that there needs to be like, there is a need for the world to imbalance into that way where we are dysregulatedly roaring. before we come back to balance, there is the emotional dysregulation is just like the hysteria that needs to be felt.
Yeah, and you as a man, if you're listening, can say as much as you want about like, oh, she's too much, she's so dramatic, she's crazy, she's so emotional, I can't handle it, and blah blah blah. But like, let's just take a step back and think about why that is. It's not her fault. And I mean, if you, my dear man, was told to work hard, meanwhile blood was flushing out of your genitals, I bet my ass that you would run far away and be like, demand the right to lay in bed, because that's just your human rights. If you are bleeding, you gotta have aid here, support. So
There would
like,
be so many interesting things if it was the other way around.
yeah, so just let her raw. And I understand that, I mean, it is agendas, these Me Too's and all of these things, but as extreme as it has been in one way of this domination of young energy and just fire and like male domination, as much want these women now to take a stand, and it's very dramatic, and it is scary to approach a woman nowadays because it might be rape, but it could be rape because she is so traumatized by and is so dysregulated by what she has been through. So just going into her field or touching her butt or even pushing yourself into a conversation with her with intentions of wanting to be with her is super traumatic for these women. So men out there, please be gentle towards them and understand that this is just them trying to balance themselves and balance their position in society and trying to say no for once, because women have had a hard time saying no for a long time, and it had created a snowball effect of ending here in pure destruction of their health. So let them say no.
Yeah.
Let them scream, let them fight, let their emotion come free, so we can, I mean, let the water flows so we can start to balance between those two poles, you know?
I don't even think it's dramatic. I think it should be even more dramatic considering.
It should be more dramatic, and I'm
Because
pretty sure with time, because we're also talking about a force that is so regenerative that this you it can life cannot die.
no,
Life can end up being extinct, but extinction will just
it's a
create another
cycle.
organism and another cells that will create another life. Like, evolution is not linear as we have been taught about in this stupid Darwin whatever bullshit that we're going on here. Evolution is cyclical and it's regenerative, and it's just not linear. So as much as we will think that human will go extinct and we will destroy the whole world, that's not the fact. We don't have so much power. We will never have so much power. And if this energy is ending up being suppressed to the point of where she doesn't exist anymore and we can't have kids, trust me, nature will respond.
Yeah, and if you don't, I think even before that, if you don't let the woman do her thing now in this not so dramatic form,
Yeah, she's
right
not even
now it's
that
not that
dramatic right now.
dramatic.
She
It
fucking love
it
you out
will
there.
grow. It will grow and grow and grow and grow until it's taken,
Yeah,
until it's like forced upon.
yeah,
And maybe that needs to happen. Maybe the force needs to like
maybe.
be forced upon.
I'm
But
curious to see.
yeah, we will see, because I think that right now it's not that dramatic and the response to it is not strong enough.
It's not strong enough, no.
The respect is not being met. Women are very much still bending to, on a personal level, the culture of casual sex and not respecting their own bodies enough, not respecting their own matter enough, not respecting their own energy enough, and not demanding
Yeah,
the
that's the word.
level of honor
Yeah.
and respect that this yin energy demands,
Mm-hmm.
demands full force.
Full force.
That
Yeah.
it won't be any other way.
No.
And that's where we need to get to, and that's why I don't even think it's like we're not even there yet.
No,
Like,
not at all.
we can pretend that like we've achieved something here.
We
And
didn't achieve anything other than making men and women equal. And
which they're
that's
not.
not an achievement, because we, on a deep level, personality wise and value wise, we are very much equal. We deserve the same things. But on a biologically way, we're not equal at all. And we should definitely do different things in society, because that will bring society value. When men show up for what they're good at and what they're meant to do, and women show up for what they're good at and what they're meant to do, that's when, that's the click.
Life.
But we ended up right now in men and women are equal. That's really bad.
That's the wrong way to go about it.
And that
And that
created that.
leads to a lot of other imbalances.
Oh God, yeah.
The societal imbalances, generation after generation after generation, lead to a lot of physiological and psychological imbalances in the bodies that are being born today.
Yeah.
The confusion, the dysregulation, the single genderedness, the everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Is,
and we will talk very much into that.
Yeah,
also
but we're
at some point.
Yeah, but the response is there. Like, we're responding to something that is not natural.
No, it's not natural. It's frustrating. And it's hard to continue keeping on this spark for life within, because life is physically slowly dying. But that's how it is. I mean, it's I just what?
It won't die.
It won't die. It's not that dramatic, but it's just really sad to see the pain and the suffering, and to also like, I'm glad that we are treating so many women as we are, and that automatically these women are attracted to come into the clinic or reach out to us for their own health. But it's really sad to hear just how wrong they feel and how they were treated prior to coming into our field with their autoimmune mysterious symptoms.
And how many of them even normalize. They feel like nothing's really wrong with me. I'm just like, have insane headaches that I can't move from if I eat a crumb of gluten, or like have rampant diarrhea and I can't breathe, or like whatever like their thing is, or like my periods hurt so bad, but like that's normal.
Exactly.
That's normal. I have pain 3 weeks out of the month, every single month, and like a week of that is debilitating, but like that's normal, and it's not that big of a deal. And like, yeah, like,
but that's just,
I've tried to heal it and it just doesn't work, and I don't know what to do. I've tried everything, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, that just speaks into the desensitization. How you say that word? Sensitization. I'm from Denmark. I don't know how to speak English so well. Well, of women, and the numbness of sensation, and
the normalization,
and how strong women have come to be. We are so incredibly strong that it's just too much. Women shouldn't be able to hold this amount of responsibility and field as they're holding, because it's numbing them to their own inner state. And then they're like, that's normal. I have pain, that's normal. I have headaches, that's normal. I don't eat so well, that's normal. I don't have orgasms, that's normal.
That's normal. What? Like 60% of women don't have orgasms. Chill, or
that's
more.
Not normal.
That's not normal.
It's our way of releasing and bring like, back the orgasm.
Yeah, and the female pleasure organs are huge compared to men. They're huge compared to men.
It's really big energy here. Women is carrying.
And the amount of nerve endings and sensation that women are capable of having is absurd.
But we're not educated in it.
That more women than are not having orgasms than are.
Yeah.
Considering. And meanwhile, every man is capable of having an orgasm.
And he shouldn't.
If 60% of men weren't having orgasms, we would have a really big problem. But we are, in the response to that, seeing the like, probably, I don't know how many men have erectile dysfunction.
Within our clinical experience, around 70%.
Yeah. And at the age,
they just don't say it.
At the age that men are starting to take testosterone,
Yeah,
The
it's
age that the like
crazy.
physical levels of testosterone are declining, the age at which, yeah, men are just failing. And I think we were talking to another friend that there's like new drugs on the market that are like Viagra, mini Viagra stuff for like young men in their 20s, that's like marketed towards young men in their 20s. It's, of course, the thing is, of course. What I say to that is
Of
no
course.
shit. Duh. If 60% of
Sorpresa.
women on this planet aren't having orgasms,
Of
why
course.
should, why is, or, and how many percent are infertile and how many percent are on birth control? Why, what else would be the response?
Yeah. What
We're this,
else?
we're a species. We respond to each other. We are
Yeah.
for each other.
Yeah.
We are connected at the end of the day,
Yeah.
each and every one of us. So duh.
Duh. Yeah, I think it kind of wrap it up. It's
That's
I mean, we have to go into all of these subjects much deeper. We were just inspired today, I think, because of this heartbroken view of a person you love that is just,
devastated.
yeah, so devastated and just don't see any point with life. And she's just not the first woman that we have met
Yeah.
within our clinical
Who are so
setting
powerful and has so much to give through their life and has,
but it's just
is
so lost.
mission, their mission is to help so many people, and they aren't doing it and don't feel the energy to do it because they have been so lost through their life.
Because they're so depleted.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. I just want to mention this because this is funny and this is totally out of context. But just imagine how funny this is that I just
What is it?
it's just I saw it on reels and Instagram. I love people for being so aware about this subject at this current moment because I think people are starting to talk about it. But just imagine these effing commercials for
Mm.
Tina, what is it called? Tina, and there's
Tampon?
just it's just like this woman that is like surfing and she's running 10 kilometers and she's
Yeah.
cooking and she's giving birth and she's just like out there like moving and
This
they're
is
saying
like,
if you buy this pad, you can do
no,
everything.
tampon.
Doesn't matter.
Tampon.
It's pads and tampons. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Meanwhile, like it's bleached lead aluminum heavy metals put right up where you need to release. Meanwhile, you're walking around your most sacred period with like a diaper on, being told that you should move. Meanwhile, it's just like
You should
flushing
be
out
able
with
to
clumps
surf
and blood and
and play and
Jesus, and even have sex. Like you, but we're gonna talk more about this. But
yeah,
I want to run this.
hilarious that that's like commercial media.
That should just tell everybody in this world that our world is so deceiving and whatever they're telling us to do, because there was also a time back then, you remember, where they told pregnant women it's so cool to smoke while you're pregnant. And all of a sudden the tobacco had a problem and it didn't went well and they were like, I'm sorry, it's really bad, your child will die. So let's just try to remember story here. History is not her story, it's not our story, it's history. And in that, like, just see the insanity for what it is and just start to go into the woods, find a wolf and just run as fast as you can. And it doesn't matter if you lose your stupid job, be it so dry that it's being burned because accountant, I mean, what is it even for? Why are you what are you doing? It's just
Go off.
so it's just so boring. Women are doing such boring things and I understand they're like, let me just run. Yeah, run. Stop working with these boring things. Stop complying to 9 to 5. Stop having casual sex with ugly men that doesn't provide you anything. Stop
And
do
then being hurt by
and
them
then
when
being
they
hurt by
haven't
it.
provided you anything.
Yeah.
When that's all they ever offered.
As much as compassion and love I have for the woman, I'm also here giving her a slap in the face and being like, you are so beautiful. You are so multifaceted that you don't even understand. So just go with it or explore it and just take a risk in life.
Yeah.
It's about that risk as a woman. If you feel that this is not for you, if you feel depleted, if you feel tired, if you are looking at your surroundings and you just feel dull, take a step out of it, because there is a whole universe around you that is just ready for you to see that there's more to life than what you have complied to, adapted to, and being a creator of. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, it's your world.
It's your world.
Take it and run, or lay down in it. If you are just too tired to run, that's cool too. Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, and find a practitioner to work with. I really encourage every woman in this world to work with themselves, because if we look at the curriculum in school and the education that we have had in our own biology and our own physiology, we have no clue who we are and how we function, and
even in our psychology.
No, we don't understand that. So no matter if you are a functional, well-behaved, really healthy human,
well-behaved,
you still,
then you have the biggest problem.
Then you probably have the biggest problem, because there is a whole underlying universe that is waiting for you to feel that inner whatever that is.
Yeah, so don't wait to get sick. Don't wait to get sick. If you have girls, start at a young age with your children to get educated with practitioners, the rare and far few between. There's more and more coming up, and educating each other and learning together, but get educated in the real physiology, biology, psychology, spirituality, of the female body and of the female system, of their body, of your body. Dive into it and learn about it, because the mainstream society and mainstream medicine is not going to tell you about it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Try it all.
Yeah. Try it all.
And don't be vegan.
But we're going to talk much more about that.
Eat red meat.
Don't be vegan. But let's not go. I mean, we can
scream at women all day. Let's just stop there.
I can scream at both men and women all day, but let's just stop here. I mean, we're ex-vegans here, so we know.
We've all been there.
We've been everywhere, but we are talking about. We are not out here talking about things we haven't experienced ourselves. So just know that we're not here sitting and just rambling out. But yeah, don't be vegan.
And if you personally are experiencing something that you want to talk about or heal
or need help in
any way, or just want to discuss what you're feeling and like see it and get it validated, or find out where it's coming from, please reach out to us. We are open. We will talk to you online. We have free consultations. We work one-on-one with a lot of women and men. So if you have any questions about anything we're saying now, connect to it in any way, or want clarity about your personal system, drop us a comment, DM, leave your email, whatever you want to do, and we will get in touch.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Naomi Art of Wellness, and you can also write to an email that is right here under.
Yes.
Yeah, reach out. It's really important. And I would say this is one of my life purpose, and I think you too. We are really holding hands in this process and want to manifest as much health for women in this world and as much education for women in this world. So when we leave this place, our daughters and our sisters around the world are not going to be without that essence,
and our sons are not going to be without children. Our sons are not going to be without partners. It's like our imprint on humanity, I think, is we're really passionate about that, and because of that,
and we cure it
naturally become I wanted to say, because of that, it has naturally become through education, but also just through normal practice, our specialization. We attract it, we cure it, we deal with it in a very deep way, and we address every aspect of lifestyle, diet, everything,
and
spirituality, and we have very good results. So even if it's just
we don't have good results, we have healed it.
Yeah,
because these things are so healable, because there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, and because the issue is so clear and so big, when you just address the issue that's not being addressed, your body starts to heal itself.
Your body is so smart and so intelligent, and when we start to use it in healing,
and in the way that it's like designed to flow, everything cures itself.
So thank you for listening to this strong talk, I say. I'm very happy to have this talk with you. I felt very intensely stagnant in the beginning and a little bit angry, but I'm really happy we had this talk and we got this off our chest. And it's also a huge opening for many of the subjects that we're going to touch on.
Yeah, so tune in the future to hear more about sex, about the medical industry, about fertility, about birth,
Vegans.
about vegans, the evil vegans. I'm just kidding. But about diet and what
Gender
nutrients are actually
confusions.
necessary.
Oh God,
Yeah.
all of them.
And about all of the societal norms that are in play that are so far from normal.
Yeah. So thank you for listening and thank you for being with me today again in
Thank
life
you too.
and in love and online.
To all of you. It's been a pleasure.